So we're going to get started. Week 2 hive check, and I mentioned earlier that we had some complications this week that I found out. I was community feeding, so I had to go buy a top feeder. I also noticed that last week there was some Burr Comb starting to grow, or that they were forming Burr Comb inside the hive, which is not something we really want, and that occurs because there's too much space. I was 1 frame short inside there. So I've also learned that one of my frames was a drone frame, and I'm going to see if that's okay or if I need to remove it. It's one that had Burr Comb on it, so I might be pulling it tonight and adding a replacement in. So if you can see here, the wooden box is going to be the top feeder, and then there's 2 frames that I've coated in wax. They're plastic frames. Over here I have a bucket of simple syrup, and I've got the top of a broom to brush the bees off if I go to replace the frames. And the bees, I put the smoker out. The bees have started to come to the front of the hive here. I don't know if you can see. And there is the robber screen on the front of the hive that I had to put in place to keep the other bees that got used to coming to get food in this area out from swooping in and robbing the honey from this hive. So because I was smoking, the bees started to come to the front and the bottom. And I've also got some syrup that I made. Alright, I'm going to try and do this without shutting off the camera. Placing it, sorry, here and down so you can see inside the hive. Alright, we're still rolling, and I'm going to try and do this really fast. I found the queen last week. One of the things I'm going to do this week is look to make sure that she's still laying well and that things are developing. Okay, so let's get moving. As you see, the lid in here, wow, they are multiplying for sure. There's definitely a good number of bees inside. And on the top board, I'm spraying them. They're nice and calm and quiet. And not very loud. And they have stuck the lid with propolis, so I'm going to unbreak the seal, which is good. That'll keep the robbers out from coming underneath. Oop. You heard that pop, and the bees started bouncing. They're going to get a little angry, and I'm going to spray them. Alright, and there's some honeycomb there, and what I'm looking for today is to see if they've drawn out any of the plain frames that I put in. I'm going to move this. You can see there's some honeycomb hanging that I can scrape off. I'm going to make sure before I move this that the queen's not on the lid so I don't lose the queen. Okay, that's good. Alright, so I left a space last week to see what the bees would do to try and tighten things up. I am going to take this green frame out. This one in particular, they're being nice right now. This one in particular is the one that is the drone frame, and it had Burr Comb on it. I'm trying to do this without hurting any bees. And I've upset a couple. It's also 90 degrees out still, and it's 7:30 at night, so I'm a little hot. And it's about to get really hot. These, right here, if you see, this is what I was calling the Burr Comb. And I'm going to take this out. The bees did start to draw out some of the honeycomb. I'm taking this off. I'm going to wipe them, but I want to make sure that the queen is not on here.